Notion buttons are a powerful tool that not many users take advantage of. Whether sticking the button at the top of the page as a navigation, placing it above a database to add a new task, or nesting it inside of the database, Notion buttons are something that you definitely want to be using. And in this video, we'll be going over what a Notion button is, why you should be using it, three extremely effective ways to utilize buttons in your workspace, and a full overview of how to really get the understanding of how powerful Notion buttons can really be. So, what is a Notion button? Well, a Notion button, in its simplest terms, is a block that you can click to automatically do things like create a new page or task, log a new journal entry, or trigger a multi step automation within your workspace. And with Notion buttons, it's all possible. So you might be wondering, what does something like this look like? So if I come to the top of my page right here, you currently see that I have a button that says New Tab. Now, if I go ahead and click this button, you can see that a new example entry has entered the task database. This right here basically says that when the button is clicked, we're going to add a page to the DB Help Desk database, which if I back out real quick is going to be this database right here. So it opens that DB Help Desk. So once again, if I click into the edit button, this says new task. When the button is clicked, the do action is going to add a page to DB Help Desk, and we're going to name that entry new example entry. We're going to click done. So if I go ahead and click that again, you could see that a second entry is going to populate below. But the one thing is that I have to click open here in order to pop up the side peek to view all of the properties within that entry. So in order to combat this, you can go into the button automation, click add action, hit open page, and then we're going to select the page added to the automation. So after you add that to the button, you're going to go ahead and click done. And as you can see, we have it opening in a center peak. So it's page added in center peak. And then now when we click new task, this new third example entry is going to populate right in front of us. And normally you'll have all the properties and stuff, but because this is my new Notion Help Desk series, these are all going to be fresh databases to start. So now that you're looking at the screen and you see the three examples that we just populated, you might be wondering, but I can just do that by clicking new page at the bottom of my database, right? But immediately you realize that something's different. The one that we just populated doesn't have any name to it already. And you can see why that happened. If we go back into the button automation, it's because when this button is clicked, we're going to name the page added as new example entry. So immediately right off the bat, you have limitations with just clicking new page as you can't really auto populate a lot of the fields unless you have access to Notion automations, which is a paid feature, which not a lot of people have access to, and is one of the main reasons why I recommend my Workspace OS template. It is stacked with all of the formulas within Notion 2.0, and everything in the entire workspace also automatically links and has, all of the powers of the automations fully built in from the jump. Also, just a little design tip. I like to go into the button and add a plus. I personally feel like that just adds a good UI design to the entire page and makes it flow, a lot better. So now that you have a general understanding of how the button works and why it can be useful, I'm going to add a second database to the scenario. This one's going to be a projects database. So as you can see on the screen, we have one database that's related to a task, and we have another database underneath it that's related to project. Let's just say that every time I created a new project, I wanted a task to go along with that project. I could come over here and just add a button, name that button new project. We're going to come over to the icon, add our little plus just for design purposes. And if we scroll down to the action part, remember it says when the button is clicked, the do action is going to be to add a page to the help desk projects database. And we're going to name this new project. But as you can see, when I click new project, nothing populates in the task database. So I'm going to go back into the projects button. I'm going to scroll down and we're going to add another action. So if I click add action, we're then going to scroll up until we see add page to. We're going to click on that. We're going to look down where it says select database, open that up, and then we're going to click on our DB help desk database, as this is where we're hosting all of the tasks and their properties. After that, we can come back down to the name and we can name this new project tasks. I can then go and click done. Now, if I scroll up and click new project, you can see that not only did I just get a new project, but I just got a new project task as well. And that's really key because if I was just looking at the projects database and I hit new page, I would get no properties, no name, no nothing, and then nothing added to the task list as well. One click of a button was able to populate two names and also two different entries into two different databases. So now that we've gone over those two examples, I'm going to pop over to my Everything OS main dashboard and just quickly show you guys a couple of examples of how I utilize buttons throughout my workspace. So as you can see at the very top, I actually have a couple buttons and these all link to different pages throughout my workspace. Those would be like home, content, clients, digital products, operations, finances. This actually just goes to all of the areas. Um, so if I back out of this and scroll down, you can also see that I have two buttons for my today's planner and my daily shutdown. So this is actually both my journal entries database, but because the new entry for today's planner is selecting type today's planner as the do action, that makes it so whenever this button is clicked, and I back out, it will only populate in this section right here. As you can see, it just popped up. And if I go down to the daily shutdown and I create a new entry here, say I go to my mood and I say, today I had a great day, template popped up and back out, you can see that only daily shutdown has populated there. But if I go into the database, that is DBEOS journal entries. And if I scroll up, this is also DBEOS journal entry. As you can see, if I scroll up, I utilize this throughout my entire dashboard, whether it's through adding new links, new subscriptions, new business contacts, just anything throughout my dashboard. It gives a real good streamlined process of adding new entries into databases. As when I click the link, the center peak page is always going to pop up, and if I go into the database, it's not going to give me the ability to enter any of the properties or information unless I click into the database itself. So now that we went over what a Notion button is and why we should be using them, I want to show you the most effective use case, and that's database buttons. So if we hop back over the Notion help desk page, you can see that I've set up a little scenario in which we have our task database right here on the left and a projects database in a gallery view over here on the right. But first, what is a database button? In its simplest terms, a database button is just a button that lives inside of a database as its own property. So if I come over to the projects database right here and click on the example project, you can see that I've preloaded a couple of database buttons already into the projects database itself. So if you take a look inside of the buttons, you currently see that they don't have anything populated currently. But what I'm going to do is quickly go to customize layout at the top, I'm going to click on the YouTube example heading. I'm going to go over here on the right side and I'm going to start pinning the buttons to the top of the page. Now, if I go ahead and apply that, you can now see that anytime I click into a project, the database buttons are going to be sitting in the heading instead of in the properties below. And just to give you an overview so you can see how this is utilized in my dashboard, I go into my own projects page. You can currently see that I've moved the Everything OS template back to in progress. And if I wanted to make this done, all I would have to do is click done right here and send it back to in progress. I can send it to not started. And while I'm doing this, you can see that it's currently populating and depopulating in the projects database right here. And that goes along with our database video where we go over, the filters and sort and how this one is just sorted by in progress. So that's all we're going to see. So if I click back into the project, you can currently see that I have two tabbed views, task list, expensive. We're just going to be dealing with the task list in this video. But if you look, you can currently see that I have 11 populated tabs. And if I come up to the database button and click new task, you can currently see that a new task was populated. It was set as not started, and we also got a task list order number as well. So if we pop back over the Notion help desk page, there's two things that I would do prior. The first would be clicking into the projects database. And I would just go into customize layout, click on the side over here, and then set it to tabbed view. Immediately, you notice you got this content and a plus to add a new tab. We're going to go ahead and add the task database. So now we can see all of our tasks every time we click on our project as well. Now, if I click on the YouTube example project and come up to the new task button, we can edit the automation so that when the button is clicked, the first do action that we're going to add is going to be to add a page. And then we're going to select the help desk, which is also the task database. We're going to name this new task. And then we're also going to edit the second property, select projects, and then select this page. By doing that, now every time this button is clicked, it's going to add a page to the task database called new task, but it's now going to link that task under this current project. So if I save this and come to new task, you can currently see that not only did we get a new task populating in the task database, but if we click in the projects database, we have a task within the projects. And then in our tabbed view, you can see the task has auto populated with the YouTube example project relation also auto filled in. Whether it's saving you time on a day to day, saving you that carpal tunnel in the future, in one click of a button, we're able to manipulate this database in whatever way we want to really customize your Notion page exactly how you want. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me grow as a new creator and get these videos out and help as many people as I can. That's it for today. Now you know how to use Notion buttons to speed things up and make your workspace even that much faster. If you like this video, drop a like to bring more visibility to these tips, and feel free to comment if you're stuck or want me to cover anything deeper. With that being said, I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.